Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff. We are going to explore the powder through expanding die in some detail. We are going to look at the Lee Universal Case expanding die, and we are going to discuss how to stop your self-indexing press from throwing the heads of the cases. We will start with a pistol caliber well-known powder through expansion die. Now, the powder through expansion die is this chappy over here. It's got a hole all the way through. And traditionally, if you look at a reloading book, they will call this flaring the case, or some places even call it belling the case, I think. And that's actually a little bit of a misnomer. Now, the reason for that die is that if we have a box standard regulation case and we have a box standard regulation head, well, the two of them don't want to sit cleanly on top of each other. And to make it easier to fit the case, we are actually going to do something that is largely considered called flaring the case, which is what I've done here. This is just using the universal expanding die by flaring the top of the case. And then when we put the head on, we have a cleaner fit, but it's still not perfect. But with a powder through expanding die, it actually gets a little bit more complicated. Instead of just flaring the case, we're actually belling the case all the way around from, and I've belled it quite deeply, I've belled it to about there. And it means that I can take the head and I can loosely push it in all the way to seating depth. And that's not going anywhere. And if we look at the powder through expanding die, and we actually have a look at the expander proper, this over here, for the 455 Webley, which uses a 45 caliber head, starts somewhere near 450, 445, and it goes all the way up to 460, 465, before we come to the bit that actually does the flaring. And it basically means that we can sit the bullet all the way in the case without any force at all. And so the upshot to all this is that when you are a self-indexing press or something like that, where you have that shell place at the bottom moving, I have never yet thrown a head of a case that was properly expanded with a powder through expanding die. So there's absolutely no need using a universal expanding die with a pistol caliber. That's this chappy here. As an FYI on the side, these things, I hate those things. I mean, what is that? I haven't even got the correct spanner for that. Plus they're hideous. I mean, why change things? But okay, let's get away from that. Now, if you're using a rifle caliber, now a rifle caliber, you would not normally flare the neck of the case. But just for giggles, I've done it here. This is your box standard sized neck. And if we put a head on top, well, it comes off with a little bit of wobbling. But this guy over here, I have flared using the universal expanding die, and I've flared it quite aggressively. And if we now put the head on, oh, well, that's just not coming off at all. And so if we look at this particular die, it comes with two inserts. It comes with a sort of thin guy, I guess this is for like 223 and stuff like that, and then we have a chunky guy that's for the 308, and these will basically flare the top of the neck and effectively provide a better seating space for the bullet that goes on top. And when this then gets indexed and shaken around, the bullet stays on better. Now, these guys here, I'm not actually a fan of. I find them a little bit too clunky. I tend to use this guy over here, which I've made myself. This started off, I think, M8 or God knows what, and I kind of married it to this thing, which is 14 mil, I think. I don't know, a very early design. I don't know what I was on. But it's actually really nice because it provides a much gentler curve. And if we have a look over here at the shape of this boat tail, they'll marry actually up quite neatly, and it means that I get a much better belling out of, or flaring out of a case with this, which the boat tail then sits in. And for these horrible Spitzers, these guys, oh my lord, they always fall off. If you ever index Spitzer rounds, which basically don't have the boat tail in the rear, so if you ever look on the right here, we have a sort of boat tail. On the other side, it's just a sharp end. Well, for those, I've made myself a little expanding insert as well, which is this guy here, which is again 14 mil. I think I just set this up on the bench press or the pillar drill, and I just ground it with an angle grinder just to give me a sharp edge. But for whatever tiny little bit of whatever you want to call that boat tail there, I can just about marry that up, that at least I got a little bit of rotational stability for something like AK heads. That's basically it. Now, you can say, well, yeah, but this looks terrible. I mean, by the time you've seated the bullet on there, you're still going to have the flare and it's going to look weird and unprofessional. And the answer to that is simple. You just use a crimp die. And I don't use a crimp die to crimp these. I use the crimp die to remove the flaring at the top of the case. And by the time I have crimped these to the correct diameter, which is basically what the neck is down here, you're not even going to know that it was flared on the top to start off with. And that way, all of a sudden, your heads will stop falling off the cases, and you can set your indexing speed up for the bottom plate so that it just rotates a little bit quicker, and it just stops your heads from coming loose of your cases when you index. On a single stage press, I would not bother with a die like this. If for whatever reason you find that the neck is too tight, then I would just use something like that, which is the insert from neck sizing die, and that'll expand it to regulation width. I don't think I'd bother with this sort of thing. It just adds too many steps. For an indexing stage, that is my secret weapon. That is, I use that in almost all of them. So anyway, I hope that was interesting, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.